Well, hi, Nigel. How are you doing today?
Well, big brother, I'm doing great, thanks. And you?
Do you know, Nigel, this is our 15th podcast we've done.
That's amazing. 15's a lot, and I know our target is 50 by year end.
That right, we're almost a third of the way there, would you believe?
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
So shall we crack on with this?
Yeah, that's what they're for. So, yeah, should we crack on it? Great idea. Hello, this is Nigel.
And this is Colin with another Encore Years podcast.
This is about retirement and learning to love it.
And our goal is we release one of these each week. So if you enjoy it, please click the little subscribe button at the bottom and tell all your friends as well.
Great. Today, we're very fortunate to have John with us, who's had a most interesting life and retirement. And we want to find out, John, how you do it and what you can teach us all about life and retirement. So, John, how are you doing today?
I'm feeling fine, but I feel as though I'm here under false pretenses. It's true that I retired from the paid workforce in when the hell did I retire? 2015, when I was 72. But I've never stopped working, so I don't feel retired.
Well, I think that's true for a lot of us.
Yes. The thing is, I spent 40 years in international sales. In my vainglorious moments, I like to tell people, quite a lot of those, I like to tell people that I've lived and worked on every continent except Antarctica, because I don't like the cold. But all the time I was working, my dream as a young man, my dream as a boy, was to be a writer. And in fact, I was offered an internship with Kemsey newspapers when I was 18, work with them for 6 months, be paid. And at the end of 6 months, they would decide whether they wanted to keep me on as a journalist. But in those days, you're 18, you had to get your father's approval. And my father, who'd been, of course, been through the 1930s, he refused to sign that. He said, no, it's not certain. You've got to have a proper job. So I went and got a proper job. But I was writing. In fact, in 1989, I sold my first book to a publisher, my first article to a magazine, which was Good Housekeeping, and my first short story to BBC Radio. It used to be Morning Short Story. And while I was traveling all over the place, it helped me because I could work in the morning. I could get up at 5, which I still do, write for 2 or 3 hours before breakfast, go out, spend the day working, and then in the evening, if I wasn't having dinner with a customer, I'd edit what I'd written in the morning. So in 2015, when I was 70, the change was that I wasn't going out after breakfast to see customers. I wasn't spending my day out in Saudi Arabia or New Zealand or wherever. I was at home in this room that you see me in now. So that was the big change. So as I said, I have retired from the salaried workforce, but I don't feel I'll ever retire. I don't feel I'll ever stop working.
But it must be a relief not to be flying.
Well, it is, yes. Actually, we were discussing this at home just yesterday. We were talking about having a break and going somewhere. Oh, dear God. We decided to have a night in a very nice hotel, have dinner, have breakfast. The hotel is about 8 miles from where we live. And we were talking about things we'd done in the past. It's a very good dinner, by the way, so, it justifies the 8 miles. And we both agree we don't want to spend any more time in airport lounges. I've just had enough.
Yes.
There were times when, I would fly 5 or 6 flights in a week because I'd fly from here to Abu Dhabi, from there to Nairobi, from there to Johannesburg, from there to Ghana, and then come back. When you're 25, it's fabulous. It's isn't this romantic? Isn't this marvelous? When you're 83, it doesn't feel like that anymore. It feels, God, this is a pain, and I don't want to do it anymore. So there you go, 8 miles for a very good dinner, an overnight stay, very nice room, lovely breakfast, back home in time to look after the garden and get back to work.
It sounds absolutely great. I fully understand that. And Colin, I think you do too, about your traveling that you did.
Yeah, exactly the same. Although I still get quite an excitement out of traveling. still enjoy.
But like you, John, Colin was an international traveller, but not quite as intense
Right.
as.
So
Right.
the first 6 months, John, so you finish your paid salary, you're not retiring, but you finish being paid for doing things. What was the first 6 months like?
Well, I did find it a bit odd, that I wasn't going out, I wasn't meeting people, and I was stuck in this room. Stuck's the wrong word. Now it's second nature. It's what I do. The person I live with, my love object, she goes out regularly, meets people, and does all kinds of things. And I stay here. And when people say to me, don't you get bored? I say, look, I spend hours every day talking to people who don't exist. And, we have the most amazing conversations. But yes, those first 6 months, it was a shock. I think the biggest thing was when you're working, when someone else is paying you to do a job, you have to do the job. You have to get up, even if you don't feel like it. I don't know. You're in Dar es Salaam. The power went off just as you were having a shower. You're not in the best possible mood. You've got to make your way over these peculiar roads to find this person you're going to talk to. You're not in the mood to do it, but you have to do it. You have no choice.
Yeah.
Once you're doing what I'm doing, what we're all doing, you do have a choice. You can say, "Oh, to hell with it. I'm not doing that today." And I do that from time to time. Occasionally, I think I need a day off. And I think one of the things that retired people need to understand is you have to have an interest. You have to have something you want to do. And for me, that's not just writing. It's also gardening. I spend a lot of time in the garden. I like to think we always have cut flowers in this house or flowers of one kind or another, 12 months a year. But I also grow a lot of things that we eat. So this year I'm growing 16 different varieties of tomato, which I know is ludicrous, but there you go. And potatoes and salads. We have leaves of various descriptions all through the year, all sorts of herbs, beans. You need that kind of interest. Well, I'll be honest here. I'll tell you what really is at the back of my mind. I've known a lot of people who retired at the age of 65, let's say. 18 months, 2 years later, they weren't around anymore because they had nothing to sustain them. And so I think you have to have an interest. For me, I mean, writing was a hobby for me, I suppose, for a long time. I have a memory when I was 10 years old of standing at the stage on Benton Park Primary School in Newcastle, reading to the assembled parents and children a story I'd written. So it seems to me like that's always been at the heart of my life. But you need those other things. You do need something like that, or I don't know how you survive.
John, tell us about your writing career. What are you writing?
Well, I think that I started, considering that I have that memory of writing a short story when I was 10, and the headmaster and my form teacher telling me, "You're going to be a writer." It took a long time. It was at 1989 when I was 46 that I sold, as I say, my first book to a publisher, my first article to Good Housekeeping, my first short stories to the BBC. And the year after that, the publisher who'd taken my first book asked me how I felt about ghostwriting. And I didn't know. It sounded a bit dicey to me, actually, but I did it and I loved it. And since then, I've written about 70 books in other people's names. Some of them have been made into movies and what have you, as well as a whole bunch of my own contemporary fiction, historical fiction, crime fiction, police procedural, stuff like that. I've developed a sort of niche in the book of the movie. I work for movie companies. They've got a film coming out. They want a book to sell with it, and I write the book. And I've done a whole bunch of those, and I'll do some more. So that's really what I do.
That's a huge volume, John.
There's a slightly embarrassing story here, and I will tell it to you, but you mustn't share it with anybody else. All right? I wrote a book called Zappa's Mam's a Slapper, and it's set in a sink estate in Newcastle. But it's a coming-of-age book, really, about a young lad called Billy McElwain. When I'd written the first sentence, I just sat there and stared. at the screen, because actually the first sentence of the book, I may as well be completely open if I'm going to tell this story. The first sentence of the Zappa's Mom's a Slapper actually reads, it's written in the first person, and it reads, all I'd said was I wouldn't mind seeing her in her knickers. All right. So I sat there and stared at this sentence, and I thought, where the devil did that come from? And I didn't know where it was going to go. And I never do when I start writing a book. Well, I get an idea and I think that sounds great. I have to write the book to find out what happens. But in that case, I didn't need to worry, because Billy McAlane stepped down out of the screen and he stood here over my left shoulder and he kept up a running commentary. He said, Poppy wouldn't have said that. It didn't go like that. It happened like this. Don't forget to tell them about the anger management, and so on and so on. So you could say, in a very real sense, Billy McAlane wrote that book. And Billy McAlane doesn't exist. Nigel, you know a few writers, and you are one yourself. So if I express the opinion that I know a lot of writers and I've never met a completely sane one, I think you will understand where I'm coming from.
I totally agree.
But I do understand what it says about me, that Billy kept up this conversation. And a little while ago, I was writing the third in my historical fiction series. I write historical fiction about people at the bottom of the social pile, the poor, farm labourers, miners, people like that, people I'm descended from. And I had a character, Hannah Blakiston. I knew exactly what I wanted Hannah to do. And Hannah just said, I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to be that person. I am this person. And I had to change that part of the book, because Hannah wasn't playing ball. And that's, that's what I love doing, working with these people who have minds of their own.
I've heard that something similar from so many writers, John, that they create the characters and they take over.
Yeah.
And yes, absolutely. So, John, what's next for you?
Yeah.
I shall carry on doing what I'm doing, but I think as soon as I leave here, as soon as we switch off this app and these cameras and microphones, I should go out for a walk, because I think that's another piece of advice I would give to anybody who's about to retire. Stay fit, plenty of exercise. I've got a very nice bike, which I've ridden all over the place, including large parts of France. But I've also got a pair of feet, and you need to do that. You need to do it every day.
Yes.
Fortunately, the sun's shining, but you need to do it even when it isn't.
Well, my overall impression is, how on earth do you squeeze all of that into a day, an average day?
I don't watch television is the answer to that.
So that's another tip then, another bit of advice.
Yes.
Well, no, I mean, people can enjoy it, can't they? But
it takes time.
It's just not important. Actually, that's not quite true. We were talking to somebody a little while ago, and he was going on about some person who's obviously a celeb, obviously very well known, and it appears on television and in various, and he's been seen in all kinds of plays and what have you. And my wife laughed, and she said, if he doesn't play rugby or snooker, John's never seen him. And that's not quite true, but it's not far off.
Yeah. Very good. So you love your sports too?
Yeah, not to play anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even attempt to run for a bus these days. But I still remember what it was like. And as far as rugby is concerned, I don't know whether it ever meant to you what it meant to me, but occasionally I think, wouldn't it be lovely just to get out on the field and smack somebody one last time? But there you go.
Is this one of the bits of advice, John?
Is that one of your bits of advice? Smack someone one last time?
No, absolutely not. No. If you're retiring, you're too old. My daughter actually, she when I worked for IBM, somebody said to me then, and we're going back 50 years here, but somebody said to me, you are the most aggressive person I've ever met. And at the time, I was stupid enough to take that as a compliment. I wouldn't take it as a compliment now. I was on the phone. When I was traveling so much, I always rang home every day pretty well. And I remember one day I called from Cairo, and got what are you doing tomorrow? Well, I've got to see some people from Iraq, and I really don't fancy going to Baghdad right now. So I'm flying to Beirut, and they are meeting me in Beirut. I've got to get up early because that's when the flights are convenient. And I can't fly on to Cyprus, is where I was going. I can't fly on from then until about 10 o'clock at night, which was just dreadful. And she said, it's too much. And I said, I've been doing it for years. And she said, yes, I know. And you're 70. Life gives you these little reminders, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, if you want some advice, it's this. We're only here once. However it seems, it doesn't last very long. So make the most of it.
That's a
True.
wonderful line to wrap up on, I think, John. Only
Yeah.
here once.
Right, I'm going for my walk.
I think that's been fantastic, John, and thanks so much for your words and for your valuable time.
I'm sure you'll have to edit it down, but I'm sure you're good at that by now.
Colin's very good at it.
Yes.
Thanks so much, John.
You may want to take out the bit about all I'd said was I wouldn't mind seeing her in her knickers, for example.
I thought that was the best bit.
And the stuff about giving somebody a smack.
Yep. Oh, yeah. That's the second
That's
best.
not the best bit.
But I leave that to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks again, John. That was wonderful.
Yep.
All right.
All the
Thank
best.
Nice
John.
to have met you both.
Thank you.
Nice to have seen you, Colin. Bye now.
Bye
Bye-bye.
now. Bye. Well, Colin, I'm sure you'll agree that that was an extraordinary, a brilliant interview. And what an extraordinary guy who packs so much into one day, probably as much as we do in a week. You know,
Yeah.
he makes every moment count.
Yeah, very intense with his interests.
Yes. His advice is you must have an interest or a hobby, and that keeps your health good, keeps you going, keeps your mind going and your body going. And in his case, two main interests, writing and gardening. And he's very, very passionate about both of those interests. So that's good advice.
Yeah, yeah. And he's saying to stay fit. And this was every day. And even if it's raining, to get out on his bike, because he's got his feet as well. So, you know, he's out and about. We like that one.
And when I pushed him, how does he get so much done in a day? He said he doesn't watch too much TV. So I think there's a lesson somewhere.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he was saying, you're only here once. Well, we all know this, but you're only here once. Make the most of it. It doesn't last very long.
Yeah. I mean, it's obvious. It's so true. And it's something we all need reminding of.
Yeah, definitely. So just enjoyed that so much. And you've got a lot in common with this guy. And so, you know, that was terrific.
Yeah.
And so just a reminder for everybody, if you enjoyed that chatting to John, then please just tell your friends, click subscribe, and so we can keep going with this thing.
Well, Colin, is that it?
I think, Nigel, I think we're done. I think it's encore and out.
We can go and have a cup of tea now. Encore and out.